With that, I'm going to formally welcome everyone back. This is just incredible. I mean, what a great morning. And the themes, I mean, the continuing themes that we are hearing here is extraordinary. I can't wait to do my wrap up at the end because I know these themes and these great ideas are going to continue in our next panel. And with that, it is absolutely my pleasure to introduce another incredible community leader who's going to lead this next panel, Fred Wozniak of the Food Bank of South Jersey. Fred, you'll introduce yourself and the panel, but first let me thank you for taking a leadership role in our not-for-profit council, and thank you and all of you in this panel for what you do for our communities across the great state of New Jersey. Fred, the floor is all yours.
Great, thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. And what a morning it is. The sun is shining, and you are here to hear from just wonderful, incredible leaders in keeping your team motivated, energized, and connected. And as Michelle said, I'm Fred from the Food Bank of South Jersey, and I'm delighted to be with you here today, and especially delighted to be with Angela Collins, Angie Circas, and Diana Zita. Their captivating leadership style walks the talk. And you're going to hear from them and how they have motivated, energized, and connected their staff, not only during the pivoting of the COVID pandemic, but what they were doing pre-pandemic that helped them navigate through these last 11 months. So I thank you all for being with us. But before we get started, of course, a professional organization like NJBIA and rules of the morning, few housekeeping items. Please mute yourself if you aren't already, and place yourself in speaker view for the time being. And I think you are, but at some point I'm going to ask Jody to put us in the group view. Also, complete bios for the panelists can be found in the speaker section in the event webpage. We will have time at the end of this 1 hour event for Q&A. So if you have any questions along the way, please put them in a chat, and we will get to as many questions as we have time for. This is a recorded session, so if anything happens with your technology, please know that you can come back to this energetic, motivating, inspirational panel of individuals. And also, we thank Northfield Bank. They have been good to us, and they're sponsoring this panel, so thank you, Angie and Northfield Bank. And of course, you can find downloads. Northfield Bank has provided a toolkit for keeping folks motivated. So that's in the download section of the event page. I do want to shout out, yesterday in my small group, there was a Bernadette. I don't know if she made it today. She spent an hour trying. She had some technology problems. So I hope, Bernadette, you were able to navigate today. If you're here, welcome, and I'm glad you made it. So, colleagues throughout New Jersey, let's get started. Let's get started with a moment to arrive. One of the greatest connectors that we have that really begins the magic of connecting, motivating, and inspiring begins with self. So what I'd like you to do is just, you had a 5-minute break versus 15-minute break, because we get some great concepts from just the exercise before. So our lives are busy, and our lives have ramped up over the last 11 months, more than we ever have dreamed of being. So what I'd like you to do is just find yourself comfortable, whatever you're doing, stop doing, and just be. Let's take that moment to arrive and just be. I invite you, if you're comfortable, close your eyes or soft gaze to the floor. Let this be the mindful transition from before to now. So we will be mindfully present to hear the wonderful, inspirational conversation with our 3 leaders. Just find your breath, follow your breath, and you deserve these moments throughout the day. Just be. All right, as this last breath, not your last breath of life, but this last breath in, and slowly release. Wonderful. So getting, and you may open your eyes, or if you are napping, you can stay napping. But like I said, one of the beautiful connections is just being present. And we cannot be present with others unless we're present with self. We need to take that oxygen. And flight attendants, every time you're on there, if the plane's going down, what do they say? Grab your mask first. So we need to keep grabbing our oxygen masks, because the only way that we will begin an authentic connection is being present with self. And being present in the presence of others is a present. It's a gift of kindness to those who are with us. But it starts with us and how we show up. And how we show up in that authentic moment of presence is where you're going to get the momentum to motivate your staff, empower your staff, connect with your staff and others. So, all right, here's where we're going to get some energetic. The Laura Berman Fort gang from yesterday had some great insights. So yeah, we're going to start off here. We're going to create some connections. So I'm going to invite you to go back to gallery view. Can we do that, Jody? Or people choose their own?
Each person needs to do it on their own computer.
Yeah, so I'm going to invite you to gallery view so you can see people on your computer, if we can do that. And here's what I want you to do. We're going to have some pizzazz to this, and we're going to share some dopamine and some oxytocin, because smile is the most contagious element. It's more contagious than a yawn, but the smile has a rippling effect. And it's so inviting. And these darn masks that we've been wearing for the last, 10 months and so forth, and it's not going away anytime soon. So to see these smiles as we show up for this, and with your staff, you have so many Zoom meetings and too many, but let's have that smile. All right, so right now you're going to throw me a whole bunch of oxytocin. All right, on a count of 3, just throw that authentic smile. We're going to see the smiles, the smile, and everything. Ready, set, go. Oh, man, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. All right, so that's step 1 to a connection. The other step is, we do not handshake anymore, or, give the pat on the back hugs, but we can give virtual high fives. So you're going to give me a high five, and then what we're going to do is we're going to the people to the left or right of us, we're going to do the same thing. Ready, set, go. Oh my gosh, this is working wonderfully. All right, so if your first name, the first letter of your first name is from A through L, you're going to turn left. And what I mean by that, this is my left. You're going to turn left, look at the person next to you, and give them a high five. If your name, first name letter is from M through Z, you're going to turn right and give a high five. All right? Are you ready? Now you're going to have to hold it. Just don't make it a quick one, because actually we're going to get a screenshot of this, and then we're going to put on social media, world record, smile, high five connection, 100, I think there's 197 people on here. Man, this is fantastic. Here we go. Ready, set, go. Oh, awesome. All right, now let's do it to the other side. Ready? Because we, just can't forget about the people on the other side of our screen. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. Excellent. Oh, man, how do you feel? That oxytocin flowing? Awesome. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for your participation. I think we're ready. We spread some neurotransmitters, connectors. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. All right. Here we go. So at this time, please stay muted, and you can change back to speaker view. I appreciate it. So let's get started. Welcome, Angela, Angie, and Diana. And thank you for being part of this. We had a practice session last week, and it was just phenomenal. So we're looking forward to this exciting, what's left of our hour. So let me introduce, I'm going to introduce Angela Collins, and if you can say hello to the group and just a little bit about yourself, please.
Hi, thank you, Fred. Good morning, everyone. My name is Angela Collins, and I am the Assistant Vice President of Access and Navigation at Virtual Health. And I'm responsible for the strategic oversight of our Access Center, which includes over 200 navigators that handle about 2.5 million customer interactions per year. And what we typically say is each connection here is a chance for us to provide solutions that will help improve your life with our Here for Good mission top of mind. Thank you.
Wonderful. Great work, Angela. Thank you. All right, Angie Circus.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's great to be here with all of you today. My name is Angie Circus. I am Vice President of Government Banking for Northfield Bank. I've been with the bank for 31 years. I started when I was 4, by the way, okay? And I handle the government banking end of Northfield Bank, but I also do a lot more than that. I help out with anything that a client may need, business or otherwise. I also do a lot for the community. I serve on 10 nonprofit boards, and I try to help as much as I can because I think it's important that we have to be united with the community. And I thank you for being with us today, and I'm looking forward to our panel discussion.
Same here, Angie. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for sponsoring this panel.
Sure.
All right, and Diana Zita.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Zita. I'm the CEO of the Hamilton Area YMCA. I actually started my career in the for-profit world, doing investment banks and working for Fortune 500s. And then about 11 years ago, had an epiphany to follow my dream and my passion. And I said it out loud, and then I committed to it. And now here I sit. I've been with this organization for the last 11 years, 4 of which I've been the CEO. I'm living my dream every day, being the leader of a nonprofit organization in my community that served pre-COVID more than 12,000 people and raises more than $500,000 in program subsidy and financial aid for the people in my community that I've known my entire life. So this is really a labor of love for me.
Oh, thank you, Diane, also for being part of this. You think about just what we heard right now, what incredible leadership that you have led your teams, your staff, your communities through the last 11 months. What I hope for you to get out of today's session is to learn creative ways you can keep your teams feeling highly supported, motivated, and productive. Also, how strong organizational culture navigates adversity successfully. And hopefully you'll get some tenets of resonant leadership as we continue with our discussion. So as we heard from your backgrounds and all that you do and your purpose where you are, you're supposed to be right where you are at this point in your life. And we all navigate, everyone on this with us today had to navigate in some shape or form over the last and pivot through these challenging times. But all of you, Angela, Angie, and Diana, you shifted your thinking from unprecedented to opportunity to serve your purpose professionally and organizationally. So Angela and Angie, let's start with you. You both lead organizations where customer service is paramount to your success. Angela, I can't imagine how busy you are at the call center, over 200 employees. And through the pandemic with health, how busy, more so than you were before March 12th, March 13th of last year. And how you kept your teams motivated and energized. What day-to-day supportive practices are in place that creates energy for your staff teams, for their motivation and productivity? What do you have in place?
Well, Fred, I tend to look at them and just remind them of their purpose. It is very important to me to stay visual. They need to see me. Even though 90% of the team is working remotely, they need to at least see you through a Teams app or through Skype or some type of video. And so I tend to stay very visual. It's very important to them. And let them know that you're also rolling up your sleeves. And I mean, literally roll up your sleeve and you show them that you're there for them. We take advantage. I tend to take advantage of those micro moments. It's so important to encourage leaders to just look at those defining moments. you communicate with them. You have to understand what excites your team, and then challenge them to, when it comes to uncomfortable situations, hit it head on and be fearless in the moment. And I always say, when a person joins the Access Center team, I work for you, you don't work for me. So my job is truly to support them and help them to accomplish whatever goals, short-term, long-term, and just sort of live in the moment and live the dream if that's what your preference is. But it's also about communicating with them. We've got to constantly keep communicating, and we have to emphasize that. We have to be understanding. And I have to say, what really moves my team the most is just the mere fact that I'm visual. And it is a requirement on the leadership team. You have to remain visual. Every day it's about those little touch points and those moments that you spend with the team, letting them know I'm here. What can I do? I saw this. So just being visual to them and reminding them of the purpose is what I tend to do every day, to remind them of, hey, this is how we stay motivated. This is how we get the best out of our people.
Thank you, Angela. And something you said, those micro moments. Do not underestimate the importance of those micro moments from a connective conversation or whatever you bring to the table, because those micro moments become macro moments. And that's where you grow that motivation, empowerment with your teams. Thank you. Angie, Northfield Bank, over 400 employees. I know that you are face-to-face, but from pre-COVID to now virtual, drive-through, in-bank, all this stuff. What did you have in place pre-COVID, Angie, that supported your staff pivoting into this new environment that we're in?
We believe in teamwork, and teamwork was always part of our motto for Northfield, because we believe that teamwork benefits everyone within the company. It fosters creativity, learning, it blends complementary strengths, it builds trust. Getting the staff involved and rewarded is important and necessary. And just to give you an example, during COVID, we had a candy truck go to each location, to each branch, and then the staff got candy for the day. And then it was just such a rewarding experience to see their faces and get the emails afterwards of how well received it was, what this event was. We also had a hot chocolate day that everybody received hot chocolate for the day. It was a cold day outside and everybody snuggled with hot chocolate. We have quarterly newsletters that the staff are being asked to supply a milestone event in their life, whether it's a wedding or a birth of a child or a graduation of your son or daughter or whatever the case may be, and then it gets published in the newsletter. We also, during the pandemic, we held a virtual awards dinner for our staff. Each employee was provided with a gift card to get dinner for the family at home, and then a blanket, some snacks was delivered to each one of the employees to enjoy the watching the awards dinner. And our CEO and president, Mr. Steve Klein, gave a nice speech of how he appreciates all of the employees, and it was just a wonderful event. In my opinion, appreciation is a big word, and it goes a long way, and everyone on the team wins just by saying a simple thank you. Job well done.
Yeah, everyone on the team wins.
Absolutely.
That's and just explain a little bit more about the requirement of face-to-face. What does that mean in your environment?
We do weekly meetings, monthly meetings. We get together with the staff, Zoom calls, and also not just on the Northfield team, but even on the outside world that I serve on. We do this because I believe face-to-face is so important. And The worst thing about this pandemic is for me not to be able to see people and hug people and sit down next to them and have a cup of coffee or a conversation. But at least via Zoom, just like all of us now, we're able to keep in touch.
Yeah, we can
And
see.
that's absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Angie.
My pleasure.
Diana, as you mentioned earlier, you know, your YMCA, over 12,000 members, 300 employees, March 12th, you know, people are waiting for their exercise machines, swim lessons, active seniors programs. And all of a sudden, March 13th hits. And you have to close the doors. And across the country, YMCAs have to close the doors. An organization that's been around for 170 years. And then all of a sudden, as March came into April, you went from 300 plus employees at one point to a core of 14 employees and no members coming in the doors. That's hard. That's difficult. And for many in our state throughout our country. Diana, what did you have in place culturally? And you spoke so eloquently before your passion to get back to that community. What did you have in place culturally for your staff that empower them to understand the hard decisions that had to be made? But yet now you're growing staff, you're 1/3 back, staff are coming back. That's a tall order. What did you have in place? How did you do that?
That's a big question. And I got to tell you, the last 10 months have not been for the faint of heart. So let me tell you, you know, back in March, we had a decision to make, and I know our doors were shut, but as an organization and as a community nonprofit organization, we had a choice to either retract and retreat and close down and wait for this to settle out or go away or just stay virtually, or we had the decision to forge forward, right, and be fearless. And we went with the latter. And I will say that was because of my staff. So I want to talk a little bit about culture briefly, because I believe culture is the essence of every organization. I talk just again why it's important to me, the byproducts of having a really good culture in your organization, and how those byproducts specifically helped me and my organization get through the last 10 months. And then again, how I kind of created that. But I start by saying every organization has a culture, whether you realize it or not, let's put it that way. So it could be good, it can be bad. Sometimes it's very intentional, and oftentimes it's not. And, you know, I like to use the analogy that culture is the heart of an organization, right? So the stronger it is, the more positive it is, well, the more likely your organization is going to be successful, right, in sustaining trauma, right, in crisis, in challenging times, and to get through the other side of it relatively healthy, right? And it all centers around the culture of your organization, right? And let's, you know, not be mistaken, it starts top down, right? So how you enter your organization as a leader is going to be critically important, because your values, your attitudes, that all cascades down onto your staff, how you treat them, all of that. So that sets the tone for the organization. So you have to be, I guess, deliberate about what you do as you enter into an organization. But the question is, why is it so important? We're all talking about staff right now, right? And our biggest resource, our biggest investment, our biggest asset is our staff, right? Hands down, right? And as a nonprofit organization, my staff is the one that executes my mission, right? So how important are they, right? They are front facing to the world. The happier they are, the more passionate they are about what they're doing, the more successful this organization is going to be to move that mission forward. So it just shows again how critical that is. Now there's lots of byproducts of having a good culture, but I just want to talk about 3 that helped us through this absolutely chaotic, crazy time. One is, you know, we talk about if you have a good culture, you're going to have good retention, right? And how important is that for all of our organizations when you think about the value of an employee? When you have someone that's been around a long time, you don't have to continue to train someone to learn the same things because they're basic skills, right? You're now training and you're professionally developing them and increasing their knowledge, right? Now they become an asset to you, and the historical knowledge that they have, right? So You know how we all dread when someone has to leave the organization and they've been around for a long time? Because look, they've got institutional knowledge that we just don't have, and they can't write it down all on a piece of paper, right? That's important, right? And customer service, right? Again, my families, you know, my members, they want to see the same faces coming into the organization, and they trust them, right? That trust transcends from that relationship to the organization. And I am very lucky. My staff is very tenured. They've been around for the most part. We have a good mix, but I have a lot of tenured staff, and they understand who we are at core. And that significantly helped us during this time. If you have a good culture, again, performance, right? You've got people that are operating at high levels, they're efficient and they're effective. Again, how did I go from 350 to 14? Well, you better have some folks that are highly proficient in what they do, because now they're not just doing 2 jobs or 3 jobs like we normally do with the Y. They're doing, you know, half a dozen or a dozen jobs. And that's really how we kind of made it through. And the last piece to this is really, I think, the most important, because if you have a happy, staff that's well adjusted, that has, institutional knowledge, they're going to be able to take risks. And boy, oh boy, can I tell you, and I don't mean risks in a bad way, but thinking outside of the box, being flexible, right? Being resilient is so important, especially in the environment that we've been living in the last 10 months. So when we shut our doors, we shut the membership doors, but we continue to exist, right? So we pivoted, the word that I know we use a lot today, but we went from doing health and wellness to food drives, right? Blood drives. We were the first to open up childcare for essential workers, right? So people that needed somewhere to send their kids, right? We were here, and these were people that were working at the local hospital and frontline workers, right? So we had to be prepared to run those programs. And if that doesn't tell you anything about commitment on a staff level in the middle of April, when we really don't know a whole lot about what is going on, but them being so dedicated to the mission of the Y and to the community, and realizing how important their jobs are, I think that says everything to who they are as a staff and as an organization. So I can't just stress that enough in how that helped us pivot and recreate ourselves and move forward. Lastly, you talked about how did I create that culture, and I will tell you, every leader has a different style that they walk into their organization with, right? And we talked about this before. So obviously my style is going to be different than other people's styles, but I'm very, I would say, hands-on. I don't micromanage at all by any stretch of the imagination, but I do spend a good part of my day, at least, once a day, I get up and I walk around and I talk to my staff. And it might just be about their family. It might be about the game that was on last night, but every once in a while, you get these just organic conversations that are magic, because they're like, hey, I have this idea. And you're like, oh, great, share it. And we have gotten more wonderful ideas through just, ad hoc conversations than probably we do at meetings, because it's more natural, right? And it's more organic. So get to know your staff, really get to know your staff, right? On a personal level. We talked about, self-care. When you're in a nonprofit, you're always forward facing, and it's always about the donors and the communities and showing everything you do to and of course we have to do that, because if we don't do that, we are not going to get the donations we need to continue to move forward. But you can't forget about the choir, right? And I'm not talking about preaching to the choir. I'm talking about energizing the choir, right? Because they are what makes your organization tick. So it becomes really important to share the successes. And when I mean successes, I mean little ones and big ones. Hey, we secured PPE and toilet paper. Woo! Everyone cheered, right? We have toilet paper. Or we didn't have a COVID case in our childcare the entire time we've been open. That is phenomenal, right? That goes to the core of the staff and how they operate and how flexible and resilient they've been able to be over the last 10 months. So celebrate them constantly and often. And even if it's just giving them a $5 gift card or emailing everyone and saying, hey, Ryan just did something awesome, I got to share it. That's the stuff that gets them to move. And then the last piece I want to say is lead with your heart, lead with a mission, right? Please, again, and this is coming from the finance person, so it's always funny when I say it, but if you lead with your heart and you lead with a mission, and that is your North Star, through really critical times like this, you have to believe that you're going to end up on solid ground, right? And we do. And people will follow you and things will be okay. And I'm testament to that because we're here a year later, we're doing well. So if you have that belief, you have to demonstrate it and you have to live it. So that's what I want to share. And also just being present. I know Angie had said this. I worked from home probably the totality of 2 weeks in the last 10 months. My staff was always here. There was some part of my staff, whether they're doing food distribution or childcare, or when we eventually opened up membership, they were here. And if they're here, that means that their leader needs to be here. And again, that's testament to, if I'm going to lead, then you need to lead, and they will follow. So, so creating that culture, ultimately, Fred, it was my staff that have led us through this last 10 months. Without them, we would absolutely not be here.
Thank you, Diana. And what a testament. You've heard it, that you're only as good, you're only as great as the staff around you, but someone had to lead them to get you great. So, and for your YMCA to bounce back from 14 staff, close the doors, but you didn't close the mission of the YMCA. And now that you're growing back, so it's something that both you and Angie said, is those small things and the face-to-face. And I wrote down here, LBWA, leadership by walking around. And that's a testament to who you are, and that's authentic leadership. So Diane, I wish you luck in this continued journey. And you're not alone, and you built a great community around you, and obviously now, the state network. So thank you for sharing that. And Angela, I know there's something special that you had culturally pre-COVID that you're very passionate about. Can you talk to us a little bit about that part? Because you have 200, you were busy. You didn't close doors. I mean, you were busier than you ever thought you would be. So what did you had something special in place. Can you share with us, please, what that was?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's a few things that we have that are special that we have in place. But first, I want to start just by talking about the pie of leadership. So I call it the pie of leadership, and I have it carved out in my head, 3 different slices, which is EQ, AQ, and IQ. So equally to me, EQ and AQ take up 80% of that pie. And when we talk about emotional intelligence and we talk about adaptability intelligence, it is us as leaders to make sure that we become self-aware so that we can help motivate our teams. We have to self-regulate, and we have to be able to adapt to whoever the person is. And that's what's so important about those micro moments and connecting with your team. And really talk about purposeful conversations. That is so very important, because I strive to create the inspired employee, not just an engaged employee. I'm talking about an inspired employee that wants to be able to come to work, that is, they're motivated to give you ideas about what they're thinking. They're not scared to come into the office to say, this is what I think, this is what's going on, or this is what happened to me yesterday. And, it really hit home to me during this pandemic when we lost one of our team members. And I knew in that moment there was something I needed to do a little bit more to bring us even closer as a family. And I have to say, our CEO stepped in, with grace, and really came in and talked to us and just, encouraged us, throughout this pandemic. And not only did he encourage us, but he did, mention that, we're doing a great job and we're doing what we can do. And he was just so gracious. And I have to say that took us as a team to the next level. And besides that, let's talk about building that infrastructure, because no matter what, you have to build an infrastructure that helps inspire an employee. So we designed a program. We actually even assigned a lead of engagement. We put it out there. And I have a great team that we've been putting together a little committee. And what they're designed to do is just really come up with a program that's called the Inspired Employee. What does that look like? What type of events can we do? We talk about how do we celebrate. I know Diana said it the best, you talk about you celebrate them. So this is how we keep motivating them. And again, we encourage the team to give us honest feedback. If something's not going well, if they're feeling the pressure, I mean, we're talking about 2.5 million interactions. I mean, we know being in a call center, that's rough. It's like a conveyor belt, right? One call after another, emotions up and down, up and down, up and down, that emotional state. And so it takes a toll on the team. But at the end of the day, if you as a leader remain with that emotional intelligence and adapt to whatever is happening in that moment, you can truly be successful in any workplace. So we've been able to accomplish the highest one of the highest employee engagement scores in the organization. And I have the lowest turnover rate. We talk about call centers, 20 to 30% turnover rates. And I've gone many, many years with 0 turnover. And not only that, my original 5, 14 years ago, my original 5 are still with me today because of these tactics.
Oh, Angela, that's wonderful. There's a theme here with Angie, Diana, and yourself, right? It's the tenure of the core team. You had 5 with you. Diana had a team. Angie, who's been there for 31 years, and she started when she was 5. I mean, this is all, but it's that core team. But the other thing all of you are mentioning is being present with the staff, being in that moment with them. And again, as the idea of being in that moment is really where that connection is, that empowerment of leadership. So congratulations on your success. And, I know all these organizations, we're at a higher level. We thought we couldn't be capable, but when you have a culture and staff, they'll lead you through. So well done. Thank you, Angela. Angie, you talked about the FaceTime and those little things. And culture begins with the leader of the organization. So Angie, what is that one goal you have every single day when you get up and you know that you got to take care of your teams across many banks, 400? What is one goal you have every day that you is so dire to do to make yourself at the end of the day, okay, this was successful?
I believe keeping the staff motivated, constant communication, encouraging feedback, welcome new ideas, reward new ideas that will come to fruition, encourage positive thoughts. Don't let yesterday take up too much of today. Whatever happened yesterday was yesterday. Today is today. We'll fix it and move on. We have in place a STAR program, as they call it, where a fellow employee can nominate another fellow employee for something that they helped them do. Say someone helped someone go through, an issue with IT, and then they help them go through it. And there's it's called STAR program, and they get nominated. Everybody in within our employee network gets the email, and then that person gets a monetary award, which I thought it was pretty nice just by nominating somebody. We call it the STAR program. I think it's such a great thing to do. And it doesn't take much time for someone to just send an email and say, you know what, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so or whoever, help me out today. And for that, I just want to thank him and put him in the STAR program. I think that goes such a long way. Because it's that positivity and that appreciation that says, you know what, a job well done. Thank you. Just a simple thank you goes a long way. And we will get through this pandemic together. We're all in it together. We will get through it together because we are one Northfield, one purpose. End of story.
Thank you, Angie. Diana, from 300 staff to 14 staff, what one fun thing do you do daily with your staff just to keep them motivated? What have you incorporated?
We laugh a lot. And again, it's a small group. So, you know, it's really the center of everything we do. I think it brings levity to the organization. It's not per se something that, you know, I can pinpoint, but it's just having fun together and, you know, looking at all the tasks we do is having fun. So I think just having that outlook and being able to, you know, just let your hair down a little bit, right? And enjoy what we're doing, it makes the difference.
Yeah, yeah, and laughing is just, it's one of those things that are contagious as well. And it's good for the soul. Great. Angela, what is that one fun thing that you do with your staff?
Oh, definitely laughing. That's number one. But
Sure.
what we do is in the morning, we'll send out an inspiring message to kick off the day. And then we end the day with a meme. So we send it out, how we're feeling, whether it's someone dancing or how we're feeling, but something funny. That's how we typically will end the day. And just remind them, listen, we can still laugh because we know throughout the day it gets harder to laugh. So it becomes a little bit more challenging. But at the end of the day, we send that little meme out, the little pictures and videos, and we start either dancing. Some of us may tear a little bit and we're like, nope, turn that, and we start to laugh. So yes, it's thinking about the rewarding word yes. Because in this moment, we know with COVID times and scheduling vaccines, it's so rewarding just to say yes. One of my team members said that to me last night and said, you know, it was a rewarding day just because I said yes to so many people.
Thank you. You know, we find, you don't really want to set meetings after 3 o'clock because by that time everyone is done. So, you know, sometimes you just may laugh because you're so tired, but it's a laugh. Speaking of laughing, for everyone that's on this, on with us today, self-care is so important. So through your leadership, how did you self-care for yourself? The stress levels for everyone, families, individuals, grandparents, and so on and so forth. What is something you do daily to help you self-care, to take that oxygen that has helped you get through this? Angie?
For me, spending time with my family, it is a daily thing. This past year of uncertainty has reinforced to me the value of family and that every day we spend together is precious. I try to work out as much as I can. I take care of myself, healthy lifestyle at home, take my vitamins. I have redecorated my entire first floor during the pandemic because that was my sanity. And when the weather permits, I love to spend time in my garden. It's an absolute joy for me. I love to spend time outdoors. And I think it just distresses any kind of stressful day that I may have. So to me, those are the things that are important to me, and I do them daily.
Well, it certainly keeps your energy, Angie. Thank you. Because when we first met, I asked you how many cups of coffee did you have that morning, and you said you don't drink coffee.
I don't. Just
Yeah,
one cup of coffee a day, maybe one.
And we spoke, I think it was like lunchtime, so good for you.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing. Diana, you know, YMCA, the spirit, mind, body, heart, all those things. How do you keep yourself self-care and healthy, you know, in that spirit, mind, body, heart realm?
Same. So it's, you know, both the physical and the emotional aspects of life. You know, you got to take care of. I run every day, not outside. I joke. I don't have the coordination to run on a street. I would hurt myself. But I do run on a treadmill every day, and I do exercise. And to me, it's cathartic. Again, just it kind of releases all the tension, you know, and it re-energizes me. And I start every morning with doing that. And I don't waver from that because it is structure for me to do that every day. But very much like Angie, I have, my family and my friends who I consider family as well. I feel like we've grown closer over the last year because we realized how important we are to each other. And I've really, again, just enjoyed those, the time spending with them, even if it's not in person. even if it's, it's been outside or, in Zoom. But it's really knowing that you have those relationships that helps the mental health part of your life.
Well, thank you. And, you talked about wearing so many hats at the YMCA. So when you had to close the doors, even though the Y didn't go away, someone had to keep up with all those machines working. So good for you. You had the maintenance hat on. Thank you, Diana. Angela, what is that one thing you do daily that helps you? Or
just like Angie and Diana, definitely family. Just love, being there with them. And yes, we have gotten closer. Found out maybe some things I didn't need to find out, but it was good. I did. But what I like to do at the end of the day is really kickbox. So I do a lot of kickboxing. 4 to 5 days. So yes, I go in strong. And then really at the end of the night to decompress, what I do is I have a little journal that is next to my bed, and I write in there 2 positive things that happened to me today, either to me or something I saw or whatever it may be. My husband bought me a journal a few years ago, so it's like it's old now, and it's all, he's like, you need a new one. I'm like, no. So I won't give it up, but that really does help me decompress, actually, writing those 2 positive statements down, and then it just kind of puts me to sleep. And so I'm able to get a good night's sleep when I do that.
That's one extreme to another, a kickboxing to a journal. Now, I hope you don't have names on the end of the kickbox. Or if you do, maybe they're part of the names at the end of the night too that you're grateful for. But we have ebbs and flows. We're all human. But that's a nice practice. That's a mindful practice. And when you're grateful, more comes to you to be grateful. So thank you. Wow, we have what time we have left. I'm going to start with you, Diana. And then, like everyone, we're going to just go round robin here. What inspirational tidbit would you like to leave, with our friends that are on with us today? Diana?
So I'm going to actually share something. So the namesake on our building, Mayor Jack Rafferty, who was the visionary behind this organization, passed away last Thursday. And it was really just a big blow to this organization. When we started 70 years ago, this year is our 70th anniversary, by the way, we started as a storefront on Route 33 and nothing else. We now have 2 facilities, obviously the one here, the Health and Wellness Center, and a 50-acre plus day camp recreation center in Hamilton. So you can imagine, going from 0 to what we have right now. And one thing that he said in the past, and I've heard him quote this, and I've heard other board members say this, is the vision is never too big. Don't let the small thinkers ruin the vision. And I think that's profound, because there's a lot of naysayers in the world, especially when you think huge visions, and you just can't be discouraged. So I wanted to end with Jack.
Yeah. And that's a legacy. He's a legacy in your community. So thank you for sharing that, and sorry for your loss of leadership there. Thank you, Diana. Angela, what tidbit of inspiration can you leave with the group?
Absolutely. I would say focus on creating an inspired employee, and not just engaged. And let's take advantage of the micro moments. Be bold, be innovative, and be memorable.
I like that. Bold, innovative, and memorable. Thank you, Angela. Angie, what tidbit?
I just want to say, be the change you want to inspire. Share in the sacrifice, become involved. And if you become involved, the possibilities are endless. Communication is key. And if someone feels a little overwhelmed, it's okay. Sit down, have a heart-to-heart. Tell them that it's okay. Listen to them, empathize, and emphasize that I'm here. I'm here. Talk to me. You have an issue, I'm always around. It's okay to be afraid, but keep an open mind and accept the challenge.
Wow, empathy. Yep, powerful word. Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Angie, Diana, and Angela. We have so little time left, and questions are starting to pop up. And the box. I have one here that someone asked before. I'm trying to find. Yep. Please send the questions, but to the group, to the panel, a question that I had before this that someone wanted me to ask. So I'm going to ask it though. What can I do if my organizational leader is not engaging and is not doing anything to keep our teams connected? What can I do as that individual of that organization? Who would like to answer? Diana, Angie, Angela? Angie?
I think you can just feel free to go and say, you know what, can we have the talk? I think being honest and being forward and say, you know what, we need to change something. I think that says a lot about the employee and the person behind, that conversation should be able to say, you know what, I am doing something wrong. What is it that I'm doing wrong? Let's sit down. I think open conversation is key, and it goes a long way both ways. And I think it's going to be appreciated by the other person saying, you know what, maybe I am doing something wrong. Let me see what the the staff are wanting from me.
Yeah, and leadership begins within. So great mentor. Yeah, Angela. Thank you, Angie. Angela.
Yes, and just to add on to Angie, what she just said was absolutely right. But, I also think you have to be fearless in that moment, especially when it comes to your culture. We have a culture of we here at Virtua. So some things are just not tolerated. And it's okay in that moment to challenge yourself to speak up and have that open conversation. That is a moment that you have to be fearless, and it needs to be addressed. So it's rectified. You have to rectify the situation.
Okay, thank you. And you talked about all these being motivated, productive, energized. I have a question up here is, how did you keep your board motivated, connected, engaged? Who would like to start with that?
I can go.
Diana? I was gonna point you out anyway, so good. Go ahead. Diana.
So, gosh, I have never had more board meetings than I have in the last year.
Too many.
It was too much. But, communication was key. Like, they had to be there with me every step of the way and understand what was going on, because that's what motivated them. And I can tell you, my board has stepped up in a grand way this last year, but it was really constantly communicating with them and using their expertise and their guidance and their vision. And I was flanked by a good group of people. And, I was probably reluctant to talk about them earlier, but they really were at the front of this and forging forward. So it's really communication, though. It's keeping them involved.
But and we didn't talk about board in the last 45 minutes, but they're part of your culture.
Absolutely. Right? A big part of our culture. And as you know, in Hamilton, I mean, we, obviously we are a very tight family, the biggest small town there is, right? But yeah, the culture is also at the board level, and the board was engaged. So in a lot of these events that we've had with the food drives, the board was there, and they were not just providing the food, but they were giving the food out. So it's, they really dug in and became part of the conversation.
Oh, I'm sorry, Diana. I call it sandwich leadership, right? It's like you have your staff and you're in the middle of the board and the staff. And so to keep motivated and steering that ship, yeah, that's a lot on leadership. Angela, you were nodding your head when Diana was speaking. What, something about keeping your board involved? What?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I just immediately thought about, we do something called the meaningful connection. It's like a best call type of competition. And it's really just showing our CEO, our executive leaders, exactly what's happening on the front line. What are customers saying? How are they feeling? So we present calls to them, and then they select what's the best call. And it's just been phenomenal. It's gone over really, really well because our CEO shared it with our board of directors, and that was just truly amazing. So that way they can see exactly what's the pulse, what's the community really saying? So just sharing that piece, I think, has really brought a lot of value into what we do at Virtua.
You know, and that's one of those micro things, right? It's small, but how powerful that helps. Very nice. We'll have time for one more question. There's a good one up here. And let's see, it is, how do you balance being respectful of what each person can handle with all going on, but also making sure business is getting done? We'd like to take that one. Business is getting done.
I can
Angela?
start that one.
What's that? All right, go ahead.
That one. I know Angie and Diana probably have.
Oh, we have 3 more minutes, so go ahead.
Let me start that one. And again, that's, you have to be resilient in those moments, right? So it's about a healthy balance, and that's where the emotional intelligence and the adaptability comes in. That's that pie of leadership. You have to be able to balance it, right? Because strategically, you got to keep your operations going, but then you have to figure out, how do you get the best out of that person? Because if you do, you get 120% production out of that, productivity out of that person, it will impact your operations in a positive way.
Very nice. Wonderful answer, Angela. Anything? We have a few more minutes. Diana, I know your thinking cap's on. What do you have to respond to that?
Oh, and yeah, obviously, that becomes sometimes a challenging situation, but I think talking to people and again, communicating, I can't stress how important that is, because I've just had conversations with some of my staff. Again, we've had to do a lot of, thinking outside of the box and programs. And there's been a lot of, challenging situations with, the program and COVID. And I think just listening to people, hearing them out, hearing their fears, talking with them, acknowledging them, right? Just all those things, and being, empathetic to them. 9 out of 10 times you bring them through the other side and they're fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's really key. It's really having, again, those open discussions so you can help guide them through difficult situations.
And that's
I
again,
agree.
I heard empathy. Angie, you agree?
I agree 100%. Talking, asking questions. How can I help you? Just how can I help you? Or are you, what can I do for you?
Yep.
It goes a long way. It truly does. It truly does. And when it comes from the heart, it is 100% effective.
Authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been wonderful. And, one of the things I'd like to close with that really talks about your leadership to the group is resident leadership. And, you've inspired people. Resident leadership is to inspire hope and vision. And it reminds people what their purpose is. And you spoke to that. The other is spreads compassion, empathy. And you just said this, Angie, seek to understand before you're understood. Just listening. And then mindfulness. Be mindful in that conversation, because when you're mindful and present, it begins with you, but it opens up that magical door, because you may hear more of what they're telling you versus what they're saying out of their mouth. And the last is inspiration and fun. Humor is a great cure, and also fun is a wonderful way to end a conversation. Anytime anyone leaves your presence, they should feel inspired. And that's what I feel you've inspired us today. Thank you, Angie, Angela, Diana. Thank you also for Northfield Bank's toolkit and sponsorship. And thank you to Jody, Jasmine, Wayne, and Michelle, and the whole NJBIA crew. And to all being on here today. Again, there's going to be a link into the chat for the next panel, which is on demand. And thank you. Wow. Wonderful.
And I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you, Fred. You truly are amazing, and you have done an amazing job. You led us through this panel, and you have done an amazing job. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. It's just my joy. I appreciate it. Well, thank you. Until next time, I think everyone should take the rest of the afternoon off. The sun is shining. It's 55 degrees, so enjoy. Blessings.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, rounds of applause for this awesome panel. inspiring, motivational, great tips. This has been an incredible 2 days. And, when we just look at what we heard today from the leaders who joined us today, a quick debriefing here, right? Things to keep in mind. Number one, as leaders, we can only be the best leader when we're our own best version of ourselves. And so that self-awareness, that self-help, that getting that oxygen is so significantly important. So please, please, please take time for that. Keep showing up. We need each and every one of you. We need them for your staffs, for your communities, for our great state, right? Continue to build the great culture, because the number 2 thing is great leaders surround themselves with great people. And the only way you do that is you have a great culture. And you heard these tips: shared ownership, the idea of ensuring that we stay connected with our staff, keep them motivated, not just engaged, inspire them, walk the building. In a Zoom world, that's difficult to do. Guess what? Do one-on-ones with Zoom with every one of your employees. I do it once a quarter. I'm a walk the building person. Clearly my staff's not there, can't do that. Engage them, but Zoom it, don't call them. You need to see them eye to eye. You need to connect with them, right? Don't let yesterday take up too much of today. What an awesome thought, right? Don't get caught up in what was. Let's keep looking forward. When we are great leaders and when we have great people around us, what do? We continue to build the great communities. And this is what you all do every day. You build great communities through building relationships. Continue to build those relationships, mutual opportunities, safe spaces to have honest, transparent discussion. The economy makes a life worth living, is what Alpha said this morning. I thought that was so poignant and telling. So please know how valuable that what you do every day in your community, how it is part of the bigger ecosystem for our great state, for our nation, and for our world. So I'm inspired. Thank you all. I can't, give massive thanks to our partners, our speakers, our great staff, the leadership team, every one of you who's exercising leadership for our nonprofit council. Thank you to our great honorees who reflect what you all do in the community. Carol Stillwell and Fulfill and Northfield Bank, PSC&G, Rising Tide, and Virtua Health Systems. You are true leaders, and we can learn a lot from you. So thank you for attending, participating, and adding your voice. Please come out to the next council meeting so we can pick up on all those great action items that you identified today. It's on March 23rd, and you can find that info on our website. With that, I want to bid you all continued good health and keep up the great work for all you're doing for our communities. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you.